This is Baruch Fleischman here. I am your lift manager, and we're going to try to get ourselves uplifted onto the elevator of life. This is Parshas Vayakhel. This is the Parshas for today. Is the 24th day of the month of Adar, and let's start with the Zohar and get into this a little bit here about Amalek. One of the things we have to remember is the concept of depression. If a person begins to think that things are hopeless and they become weary mentally, then that's a place where they could be enticed to do all kinds of really bad things. That happens to all of us, that we're all tempted in this way because there are depressing times in everybody's life. So the Zohar says, going back to where Amalek met us along our way. So he prepared Amalek what he did in his witchcraft. This Kivyabisha, this evil snake, La'ela up above in the upper world, in the spiritual world, in order to make you Tomei in all ways. If it wasn't Moshe strengthen himself up above, that is in the upper worlds, the Yeshua Latata and Yeshua in the war itself, Lo Yechida Yisrael, the Jews wouldn't be able to overcome this. Begin kach nater kucha berechu hachu devav Davidarman. So therefore, Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to remember the hate that he has for Amalek in every generation. My time. What's the reason? Begin to chashiv the akrach of a kaima ma'asra, because what he really wants to do is destroy the bris, to unroot the sign of the bris from its place, which is at the tip of the Yesod. Again, so therefore I made a visit to this place called Pekida. The Hataman Isrim is Raza das Kaima Kadisha, because there's where you see the reference to the bris, that holy bris. Now, there's some difficult words. Let's look at the Matak B'Devash. Maybe enough time if we can move through it pretty quick to get to this piece over here on this side, where the Matak wants to talk about Molech. So Kagav the Loka Ayin Zecha Milasha Kosa V'Sher Baruch B'Derech V'Yizanav B'Kol Kol Nechloshim Acharecho. Zanav is Loshen Tail. So those stragglers of the Jewish people, which means those people who are the most hopeless, the most depressed. Pirusha Ki Amalek, what did he do? His min l'chol as a nachash, he had in place, he ambushed you with this bad snake. Ha'omer l'mala, which stands up above, he's talking about this snake, Shuhu Samach Mem, which is the great accuser, which is the Satan, the Star Achra. The Tame Osacha B'chatzad, and all to find a way at the beginning of the flow of life towards you to make a pagam in it. V'im lo nishnitzchazek Moshe l'mala l'kashach as a sephiro. So if it wasn't that Moshe was able to tie all the spheres together, because Amalek was doing everything he could in order to in the spiritual worlds, in order to be able to separate, as he's going to explain, the kedusha. So he says, "Lamala l'kashach as spheres kadesha lo liten makom lahaklipas," and so that there should be no place for the klipa, the kones of the kedusha, to come into the kedusha. V'Yoshua in his chazek lamata, Yeshua, he fortified himself down below. That says, "Lil milchamas Hashem," to go out and fight the war of Hashem, levatul koach hatuma, in order to nullify this koach hatuma. Shalamalek shebezeh hechlish as koachim, because this is the way that you weaken his strength. Lulei zelt, but if it wasn't for Moshe and Yeshua, lo ho yecholim Yisrael la'amda rabenegdem, the Jewish people would not be able to stand up to Amalek. L'chein noiter HaKadosh Baruch Hu the Amalek the Dor. So therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he guards his hate for Amalek for all generations. V'Omer, and he says like this, V'mahu atam, what's the reason? V'Omer ki afilu shaloch b'choy yochel lahapek z'mamo mikol b'kol, that even if he couldn't take that poison out from everything, im kol zecha garam pagam ba'osius vavke. So in other words, in his poison, what he wanted to do was poison the train of flow of kedusha from up above down below. But he was, in any case, able to get to the letters Vav and K, Shel Hashem Avaya. That refers to Zer Anpin and Malchus, which are the most exposed to the Klippas. So what did he want to do? The last two letters, Vav and K, represent also the combination of the yichud of the male and the female, because that's their concept. So what he wanted to do is uproot the bris from that place, so there should be no kedusha there. He wanted to separate the yisod, which is the letter Vav, min malchus shehi os hey, from malchus, which is the letter Hey. Kamasha kasaki yad al kes yak. So he says that the hand should be on the throne of Yud and K. What does that mean? Shepirusha Chazal she'ein Hashem Shalem. And what Chazal explained, that the name of Hashem Yud K Vav is not complete until you wipe out the name of Amalek. Is Wariyat Shel Amalek. Again, Kach v'lechein Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Pakadati Es Asher Asa Amalek, that I remember. I'm going to come back and revisit what Amalek did. Below Amalosh and Zachir, it doesn't say remember. He said Pakadati Shuhu Bazah. So he said Pakadati. He's going to say refers to Malchus. So Zechira goes with Zeranpin, Ella Bekida Shihira Malchus, but it's talking about the Bekida, Malchus. I will remember this. What does he mean? The Hataman ki Sham Milas Bekida, because in this word Bekida, he said Nirmaz Fokalocha Yisod Shehu Sod Os Bris Kodesh. So we're getting to the concept of Kedusha here. There's a reference here which includes the Yisod Shehu Sod Os Bris Kodesh. And even though that the root of the Bekida is Malchus, but since the Bekida is in Malchus, but when the Yisod is not attached to the Malchus, it causes the Malchus to be wounded. And so this only way that you can repair the damage that Amalek did, until the Kodesh Baruch Hu comes and he's able to eliminate the root of Amalek. That is an up above. In other words, there is a flow. Amalek doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Amalek is a creation. Amalek is a creation of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. And so there is a pathway of energy that flows to Amalek. So that has to be nullified. The Malak Nalamala, the Anafa, Lamata, and those people who actually are the members of the family, the continuation of Amalek, Bebias Agol Beheb Yamena, when our Redeemer comes with God's speed. So going on, he said, Vihine Inyan Melchamas Amalek Koyas Sainim Bekal Melchamas Shala Umos. This is the not Sona, Shona. It was different from all of the other wars with the nations. That all the wars had to do with the fighting against Hashem and His Messiah. But with all the rest of the Melchamos, but the klipa was not that strong. Because in the rest of the wars, now listen to these words. Hashem was able to make an end to, up above, that is, once again, with the concept of the flow of the light of the principal pipe, let's say, sort of our channel, which is called their prince. It's called the prince of that nation. Hanilchemes im Yisrael, that's fighting with the Jews. So first, we were able to cut off the flow of energy to them and depress them in such a way and then destroy them. So therefore the klipa, since the energy to the klipa was cut off, they weren't able to fortify themselves. But what about Amalek? So he says, because with Amalek, that is where you find the Samach Mem. This is the real fortification of the Samach Mem. That's the angel of Asaph. Shu HaRosh v'Hasar shall call the Sitra Ach, because he's the head, he's the prince, the channel, the head of the channel of the Sitra Achra. V'lo choya efshel l'kalos shorsho melamala ad sheyavach hazman shal HaKodesh Baruch Hu ya'avach az ruach hatuma min ha'aretz, and there won't be any way to be able to unroot that. This is the ultimate tuma. In other words, this is the ultimate source of tuma. until Aj Ya'avir as Ruach HaTuma min ha'aretz, when the Ruach HaTuma is removed from the world. V'asamach mem ha'omed b'mitzafa, the samach men who stands and he sees live goyim l'mala, that his energy is to make a begam up above. B'chetem shal yiso, by causing the Jews to sin. Because when the Amalek is standing and he's prepared to destroy the Jews down below, so he's able to join together with the Samach Mem here, join together Nikash, tie himself in this lavish bow and let the Samach Mem be clothed inside of him. Also, in order to strengthen him, the Mata, the Hachti is Yisrael, in order to cause the Jews to sin. Now understand, this has to do with the concept of depression to a certain extent, that the hopelessness that he plays on gets you into sexual averas. By Yedeza Yuchel, the Kanas, they've going Lamala, so therefore he could come up and he can make a pagam up above. B'shorish Neshamas Yisrael B'Malchus, at the root of the Neshamas of the Jewish people, which is where? In the Malchus of Etzilos. And then the Jewish people also of a refinement, a very weak, but refined Yadayim. Remember, we just came out of Egypt, so we really are very, very weak. We don't know really Torah. We only know something about Hashem, but that we're not deeply set. So he really tried very hard to seduce the Jewish people. And he really was succeeding in that to a great extent because of the depression that he cast onto them. And so his idea was is that he had made the Jewish people guilty of some terrible sin, and it was used that as a major accusation and to destroy them. But the so therefore, the throne that the Kodesh Baruch Hu has set up in this lower world, so he said, in other words, that the throne that he sets up, in other means the kli that's able to receive the light of God as a Jewish people, if that can be nullified, so it'll cause a connection that since the Hashem is connected to the Jews, they can make the Jews sin. So therefore, he's causing he said, Yifkam Hashem, and make a flaw in the name Yudke Vavke. Hashor Aleichem, which is resting on the Jewish people. And the Shekhinah will leave the upper worlds. And then the Klippa will take over the B'chol in the lower world. This was the kavana of the upper snake. The kli muchen lo, and there was a kli prepared for him. The kol zero b'choyach Amalek mitzad roa haknasos hakinaso or machshavda v'roa. So it was the kli muchen lo. There's a kli prepared for him. For all this, that Amalek, for beside the rishas that he had, Hakanas, prepared for that, the Machshav, the Hara, and all of his bad thinking, he nechagam Moshe v'Yeshua hechlishu koyach Amalek, but Moshe and Yeshua were able to fight him and weaken the power of this is the direct stream that's coming from the Samach Mem of Ezeh nechlash koyach Samach Mem lamala. So therefore, we see it weakened the power of the Samach Mem up above. So this whole pagam, he says, Adayin, this still, pagam, it's really standing in the same place as the pagam that started with Adam Rishon when lust overtook Adam Rishon. And all of this will be mesuken with the coming of the Mashiach. Amen. Baruch Fleischman, Tikkun, Elevator, Kola.